Welcome to our podcast. Excuse me, Karen. Where getting bullied by grown-ass adults makes for great entertainment.
Hey, podcast people. I am once again thanking you for coming to our podcast.
Yes, thank you. So we don't really have any shout-outs or kudos to anybody, but we did get our first listeners, Karen Tale.
Ooh.
Yes, I'm super excited. I've read it.
Okay.
And I'm like, So we need all y'all to send in your Karen story so we can give you guys some bonus episodes, or we can add a listener's tale to the end of our episode. I don't know. It seems.
Yeah, we'll get creative with it.
Yeah. So send us your stories, and you can be featured on our episodes.
Yes. And you can send us your stories. You can DM them to our Instagram, which is at Karen Podcast. Or you can, if you have an Anchor, you can voice message them to us. Or you can send them to our email, which is in our bio.
Yes. Send them to us, please.
So get to it, because we really want to do bonus episodes and like fun shit for you guys.
Yeah, we want to tell your stories because we get comments all the time. Oh yeah, I worked here and I have so many. Send them to us.
For real.
We got you.
We're like begging at this point.
Yeah, we are. Please. Now it's time for this week's edition of The Bitching Corner.
Ooh.
Lauren.
Okay.
What you got to bitch about?
So I'm bringing to the bitching corner about midterms, because we've been recording, like pre-recording a few episodes ahead because of my midterms. And what the fuck is up with those? Plus, they're adding on 4 tests right before and then 4 tests right after the midterm. And it's like, just put them in one. Just make it all the midterm. You know, like just one.
Yeah.
Because it makes no sense.
Yeah. I don't know.
What?
I'm glad I'm done with college.
You're very lucky.
#blessed.
Right. What do you bring into the bitchin' corner, Lacey?
I think I might die today. I have the worst, stomach pain, and I think my appendix might burst. But I want to get this episode of the podcast recorded.
Dedication.
In case I die, this can be my legacy.
Oh my goodness. Well, please don't die.
Listen, I'm trying so hard not to, but if you hear me just like sharp intakes of breath, that's because it feels like I'm being stabbed repeatedly.
Well, okay. Go to the doctor.
Listen. I have my own insurance through work, and that shit is expensive. So
I'm poor and I get state insurance.
Yeah. I unfortunately am still poor, but can't get state insurance.
You're not poor enough.
Which is fucking ridiculous.
I know.
Ridiculous. If I want to go to the doctors, I have to pay $35 as I check in, and then they send me a bill afterwards with everything that they did. Oh, we checked your temperature.
$75.
Yeah. And I'm like, I can't. We're about to get that the stimmy, and
stimmy.
I don't want to put that towards hospital bills. So it's just probably cheaper if I just die. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Remember me, okay?
Through her Karen tales.
Let my legacy live on. Don't let my dream die.
Right. I'll keep doing this without you.
It will never be the same, but
It
we have
won't.
enough bloopers
Really, we do.
that
Ooh.
it'll work. It'll work.
It'll take a couple episodes up, our bloopers for sure.
Okay, so this week we're gonna do something a little different. This is just in case I die. This way we have at least one story down. So I'm going to let Lauren go first this time.
Hey.
So, Lauren, tell me your tale.
All right. So my tale for this week is about a scammer from Virginia.
Okay.
I know. So it's kind of a Karen story because the people sucked so bad. So I'll just tell you guys the tale. Anyway.
Tell me.
So it doesn't like directly, I mean, I am involved in it, but it was mainly one of my best friend's grandma. And she's like the sweetest, most innocent lady I've ever had the privilege of meeting. So naturally, you'd be like, oh yeah, let's take advantage of this little poor little lady. Like if I was a scammer, you know, which right. I'm not, you guys. So, so I don't like this whole thing was just so weird. So she obviously has children, and she got a call one day on her house phone, mind you, because she does not do technology at all.
So well, yeah, like, she's old,
right? And so like her thing doesn't have like a, or her house phone didn't have like a caller ID type deal, you know. So the people on the phone, on the other end of the phone, say that they have her son, which they knew by his full name, which
the fuck?
Right. I was like, that's fucking weird. And that they told her that he had been involved in like a car wreck that I believe they told her from drinking and driving, and he has like kind of like a drinking problem. So it was just really weird that they knew like his full name and like little details about him that normally somebody wouldn't know about, you know?
Yeah.
So they just like continue telling her and that he was hurt and so are the people that he hit. So they're like, you know, you have to send bail money, blah, 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 or else he's gonna, you know, do hard jail time, this and that, like money for a lawyer, da, da, da. And obviously, if someone told me this and I didn't know about all the scams going on, I would send the money any fucking way that they told me to send the money for my fucking son.
I mean, no.
Like, if I didn't know about scams, you know what I mean? I'd be
I
like,
would have
oh
called
my God.
him first. My first thought is, let me call my son.
Well, okay, yes, definitely. But she was in such a panic, you know what I mean? Because it's like, back then, if somebody told you, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to say this. Like, people were more trusting.
Like, how far was that? Like, how long ago was this?
Oh, no, I'm saying, like, for, like, it back in her day.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Because people didn't just randomly call you and know all these weird like little details about somebody, and then it would be a lie. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So she's just like taking their word for it, and you know, like she doesn't know about scams and shit, or like what goes on with all this shit. So they told her in like really specific details about how to like flatten the money and like put it inside of a book and then like stack two heavy books on top of the book that you have the money in and then leave it for a few days. And then they gave her an address for her to mail it to. So like when she put the money in the envelope, it wasn't like all crumbly and like wouldn't make like a crumbly noise. You know what I mean? So that somebody
Yeah.
wouldn't take that envelope, I guess. And so they called her every day to send out money for her son. And so she did.
Wait. So this was the span of days?
Yeah, this went on for like a week.
And she didn't think, let me call my son?
No, because she thought he was in jail. She's like, he's not going to answer.
Does he have a wife?
I don't think so, no. So that's why, like, this is like, this
I
is
already
like
have a
believable.
theory. I have a theory, and I'm gonna put it at the end. But like, continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a few days go by, and she ends up calling my friend, who is her granddaughter, asking her to borrow a larger sum of money, which, of course, raised her suspicions. And she is like, for what? And, starts asking all these questions to her grandma.
Asking all these
And
questions. Asking all these
all
questions.
these questions. So, but she calls me and she's like, I'm coming to get you, and we're taking my grandma to the police station. And like, I didn't even ask questions or like hesitate or anything. I'm just like, bet I'm putting my shoes on now. Like, let me know when you're here. So we drove to her grandma's house and she starts telling us everything. So we called, like, my friend called her uncle and made sure that he was in fact okay and not in jail, and he was fine. We're like telling him that these people know like really specific information about him that's not normally open to the public. And so he gets like weirded out, blah blah blah. And it's just like, maybe it was like a weird coincidence, but like the info that they had about him was fucking wild and just like weird.
What
And I'm
year
like,
was this?
this happened 2 years ago.
Okay, so like there was the internet. I don't know how
Yeah.
old her uncle is, but
Yeah, but like the details that they knew about him were like very specific.
okay.
Right? So we head to the police station to file a report, and the police were super helpful. They like called the station that was closest to the address that they gave her to send the money to. They even like sent out like a squad, like I guess a couple squad cars to like, one sat there and then one like would, I guess, like come and check around the house like when mail is supposed to be delivered around there. The report was filed, and they told us that that's the most that they can do because it's out of their district and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because the number they were calling from, like, I guess they like traced the number that they were calling from. It was one of those like text app numbers. So
Oh.
so she's like crying and she's upset and she like can't believe that like someone would do this to her. And like we all just like hug her, and like the police let us know that like if anything is recovered, or like if the mail actually gets delivered to there, like, so like we take her back home and like we sit with her for a little bit, and we try, and like we're trying to like explain like how scams work to her so that she can understand that like it's not her fault. Like, she totally did what any mom would do for their family.
Mm-hmm.
She just like she just like couldn't believe it, and she was like, I really thought he was in danger, like this and that, da da da. And we're just like, you just have to be more careful. Like, people are like like they would be in
Wait,
contact with her and my friend.
did she send the money?
Yeah, she sent so much money.
Oh my God. Okay.
I know. Heartless, like, it's a hustle, it's a grind, but it just really affects people in a way that like they'll never know or understand. And like she used like a very large sum of the money that she had saved up, if I'm remembering correctly, and that's why she had to call my friend and ask her for more. And so like it's just so like, so that's my story. It's just really like she just got scammed super hard and like never heard anything back, never got her money back or anything. And like I don't, like, these scammers are just, they know like everything about you before they even like call you.
Oh yeah.
And it's scary.
Oh, I know. We had scammers call my mom saying that they were the IRS and that
Mm-hmm.
she owed so much money and that the police department was going to come and arrest her because there's a
Yeah.
warrant out for her arrest and all this. And I'm like, Mom, they would have sent you something in the mail. And my mom's like
Right.
on the phone with them shaking. So I go in the other room and I call the IRS.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I finally get on the phone with someone. I'm like, hey, I'm calling on behalf of my mother. This is what's happening. blah, blah, blah. They're like, yeah, no, we would have sent something in the mail.
Yeah.
We're not just going to like call you and tell you to like pay this now and blah, blah, blah. And they were like, call your the police department. Well, my mom hung up on them and they call the police department called. I don't know how, but they like the number that it was calling from was the police department's phone number. Like when they said that they were calling from the police department.
Oh, okay. You know what's actually really funny is that when I was younger, me and one of my brothers, when we would prank call people, we would put that number, we would like it, I don't know how it worked, but we would type in the number that we wanted our number to show up on their caller ID so that they couldn't like call us back, you know, instead
Right.
of *6 7ing it.
Right. Well, we ended up calling the police department and telling them everything, and they're like, keep them on the line and blah blah blah. So we did. Like they tried it like 3 more times, and my mom's like, yeah, you can go to fucking hell. Like I ain't giving you shit.
Oh my gosh.
But no, we had shit like this happen all the time at the store I worked at when I worked at the service desk.
Yeah.
So I have so many stories of that.
Ugh.
It's ridiculous. Like so many people try to scam people for like it's dumb. It is
And
so
it's
dumb.
usually like older people because they don't understand like technology. They don't understand how people can do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just don't get it.
Yeah.
So if you're listening and you fucking scam people, fuck you.
You're fucking garbage.
You're trash.
But my theory for this is okay, you said it was in Virginia?
Yeah.
Do they know anyone in Virginia?
No.
Okay, because I was gonna say maybe it was like one of the uncle's friends or something, and they were
No.
just trying to like get money quick. I don't know, because we've had like when I worked at service desk, we had shit like that happen, and it
Really?
was like yeah, it was like the so like grandma came to the store to send like 5 grand, and like we're like, homie, this is a scam, and she's like, no, he's in jail and blah blah blah, and I'm like, okay, well, like, how do you know? Like, tell me all this, whatever. She like tells me the stuff. It ended up being him and his friend were trying to scam money out of her.
That is insane. But
Yeah,
no, they don't. I mean, like they really don't know anyone in Virginia.
oh, because I was like, that's how they would know like all the information that no one else would know.
Right. And that's why it's so weird. And like I guess that's why it was more believable for her because they knew very specific details about him that you can't just find on the internet, you know?
Right. I don't know.
I
People are
know.
fucking
They suck.
yeah.
So, Lacey, what's your tale for this week?
Well, usually I have a little funny little thing at the beginning of my story, but I don't. My Karen tale today spans years. It started in 2004 and did not end until 2012.
Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, don't worry. You know this story. Well, you know some of it.
Okay. Now
So,
I'm really curious.
the middle of my freshman year of high school, it's like the dead of winter. My parents decided to move us from like a not that great town, from a small 3 bedroom, 1 bathroom house to a large 5 bedroom, 2 bathroom house. It was great. I finally had my own room, my own space after 14 years of sharing a bedroom and like sharing a space with people constantly touching my shit. It was fucking glorious.
Right.
So we had okay neighbors, like right next door to the right, right?
Yeah, it was the right.
Wait, you don't even know which one. The the
No,
ones
I do.
next
I know what you're talking about now.
the ones next door, they had 2 kids. Across the street was like 5 or 6 families with kids. Like I was one of the oldest kids on my block. And on one side of us was this guy. he lived alone. He was like maybe mid-30s. And after less than a month living there, we learned why he lived alone. He was a fucking jackass.
He was the worst.
And we're gonna call him Jeff.
Yeah.
Because
Bald Jeff.
Bald Jeff short little stubby Jeff.
Right.
So you know when you move, like you have a lot of boxes and bags and everything you packed your shit in, and like stuff that like broke in the move, and you end up throwing a lot of shit away.
Naturally, yeah.
Well, the previous owners told us like Monday was garbage day, so you would take your garbage out Sunday night.
Yeah.
So we took all the garbage to the street like Sunday night, and come Monday, like they never came and picked up the garbage. So on like Monday afternoon, the guy next door, this is like after like a week living there. The guy next door, Jeff, comes over and like he's beating on our front door. And my mom opens the door, is like, hi. And he's like, trash day is Tuesday and you cannot put it out before then. And my mom's like, okay, like we just moved in. Like they told us it was like Monday. No, it is Tuesday and now there's a fucking eyesore and nobody wants to stare at your garbage. And my mom's like, okay, like, sorry. So he just like went off, whatever. And I'm like, okay, buddy, you need to relax. My 14-year-old
Right.
ass is like, it's fucking trash. Shut up.
Right.
So whatever. That was just the first incident after less than a week being there. There's gonna be a lot of fast forwarding through the years here. And there's like a lot that does not get touched on because I would be here for days.
Right, literally.
So once it started getting nice outside, we did what kids did. We went and played outside. Me being the oldest, I always ended up having to watch the kids. So because I have three younger siblings, and so I would make them go play outside. And we had like our driveway was kind of weird. But when we lived in the not as nice area, we would play Foursquare all the time. Like that was our shit.
Yeah.
But in our driveway, we had like 4 equal squares. So it was like the greatest. So we were over there playing Foursquare. And all the other neighborhood kids were out. I remember this because the girl across the street, who I ended up being friends with years later, her and like her friends were like screaming bloody murder. And I'm like, can you fucking not? Like, why? So we're out there playing and we're just like playing Foursquare. And I'm just like, yes, bitch, you're all gonna die. No, I wasn't allowed to swear at 14.
Right.
But like everyone was outside. People were mowing their lawn, walking their dogs, whatever. Every kid in the neighborhood was outside. It was not a big deal.
Mm-mm.
Wrong. Jeff, the asshole next door, decided to call the cops on us because we were disturbing the peace. We weren't even being loud. Like it's noon on a Saturday and every single kid on the block is outside, and we have the cops roll up to our house. And I'm like,
I'm gonna get my ass beat. Fuck.
no. Well, no. I'm that bitch. Like cops scare me. I don't know why. Like I panic.
Yeah.
I've never had like a good experience with a cop. So I run inside and I get my mom and I'm like, yo, bitch, 5-0, 5-0. She comes outside and the cop walks up and she's like, can I help you? And the cop's like, we got a call about kids screaming and yelling. My mom, being the logical lady she is, says there's at least 15 other kids under the age of 13 outside right now. It's nice out. I don't understand the problem.
Right.
And the cop's like, just keep it down. And my mom was like, are you going to tell the other kids to keep it down that are being louder than my own? And the cop just like gives her a look and walks away.
And it's like, what exactly is he supposed to do in that situation? Because there's 12 other fucking kids outside screaming, just being louder than you guys.
Yeah. But we're the ones who got the cops called on us.
Right.
So, whatever, the cop leaves. So, at noon on a Saturday, we had to come inside because we were being loud, and we weren't, because like we weren't being that loud. We were just playing Foursquare.
Right, y'all were just being kids.
Yeah. So we ended up having to go in the house and then do chores, and I'm like, yeah,
Fuck you, Jeff.
yeah. So now fast forward to summer, and we're doing yard work because my mom wanted to put a little like vegetable garden in, so we had to what she made us go back there with like shovels and like little hand shovels and just like dig out all these weeds in this one section, and then she wanted us to dig out the grass. So we had to do that with little hand shovels. That was like her way of keeping us busy. And we had the radio on. It wasn't like super loud or anything, because God forbid we had anything fucking loud. So hours into like weeding and like doing this, my brother was mowing the lawn on, you remember our backyard, how there's like the different sections?
Yeah.
So my brother was like mowing the lawn or the back lawn in one section, and we're doing this thing, digging out the grass. And Jeff ends up having like friends over. And after like we had already started this, we had been out there for hours, and he has friends show up, and they're being loud, and they're like talking shit about my mom, saying how she can't control her kids. She could. Like when we were kids, there was this thing called discipline, and I got my ass
Right.
beat so much. Like
I'm pretty sure your mom has beat my ass before.
I'm pretty sure my mom has beat your ass before. Like my mom didn't care. You're gonna come in her
No.
house disrespecting shit. Oh no.
Game over.
Yeah, no, she will beat your ass. To this day, she will beat your ass.
Hell yeah.
Like, they were talking shit about how we were loud, and we weren't, because at the time my dad worked midnights, and we weren't allowed to be loud, and how we were ghetto as fuck.
Get out.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, they're so ghetto," and I'm like, listen,
Jeff.
you wouldn't know ghetto if it bit you in the ass.
Literally.
Like, shut the fuck up. So we can hear him and his friends like laughing and talking shit. But we kept working because we didn't want to start drama. And we finally get all the weeds up. And so my brother goes to mow the lawn in that, like by the area we were at. And while he's doing that, guess who pulls up?
The police.
The same fucking police officer that showed up
No
last
way.
time. Yes. And my mom opens the door and is like, "Can I help you?" And he's like, "Yeah, we got a noise complaint." My mom's like, "Okay, for what?" She's like, the cop's like, "Kids screaming." My mom's like, "My kids are in the backyard weeding. What? They're not even screaming." And he's like, "Also loud music." And my mom's like, "It's at the same level it's been at the whole time." And he's
Right.
like, "And finally, because you're cutting grass. Like people are trying to enjoy like the day, and you're just being loud." My mom's like, "Literally everyone is out cutting their grass. What are you talking about?"
Right.
The cops like, you need to bring down the noise. Like you're being too loud. My mom's like, "We've been out here for hours. It's barely even midday. Like I don't understand the problem." He's like,
Right.
"Someone called and made a complaint, so you have to stop mowing the grass." And my mom was like, "Yeah, sure." So the cop leaves, but really all he did was pull around the corner and go to Jeff's house.
Stop.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he went there, had a beer with his friends, and then he leaves. After he leaves, my brother goes and finishes mowing the lawn, and then we like put everything away and then go back inside. The next morning, Jeff is out there mowing his lawn at 7 a.m. on a Sunday.
Did y'all call the cops?
No.
You should have.
Like, this dude cut his grass twice a week. Always first thing in the morning. He was always like about his grass.
Like this guy was so particular and fucking like OCD. Like it was weird though.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. So fast forward many visits from the same cop later, my mom gets a court summons. The city gave her a ticket for disturbing the peace because we had so many calls and so many cops stopping by. So my mom goes to court and she fights it and she gets out of the ticket. And the what's it called? The judge is like, I'm sorry this is happening. I see that you have like 40 different calls on here. They're all from the same person. And like, unfortunately, like, there's nothing I can do. And my mom's like, okay. So fast forward again, when my youngest brother was like 9 or 10, his friends, they're all like him and all his friends from elementary school, they're all playing in the front yard. And one of them like accidentally stepped on Jeff's grass and he comes barging out of his fucking house and gets in my little brother's face. And do you remember how little my little brother,
Yeah,
he,
it was mini.
yeah, he was small.
Mm-hmm.
He gets in his face and he tells him he's gonna fucking kill him.
Oh my fucking God. And this is where all the pent up anger from your little brother started.
So I see him talking to my brother from the house and I like yell for my mom and I'm like, Mom, like you have to get out here. Jeff's in my brother's face and he's like so close up. My mom tells me to call the cops. So I do, and she goes out there and she's yelling at this dude like, get away from my kid. Who do you think you are? Like, why are you in his face? So he gets in my mom's face and starts going off and is like, keep your little hood rat kids off my fucking property. Y'all need to go
Get
back where
out.
you came from, which can be taken as a go back to the hood or go back to your country thing because
Right.
my dad is not from here.
Right.
So the cops show up, and of course it's Jeff's friend. And he asks, what's going on? We got a call about a disturbance. And Jeff is like, nothing. Everything's fine. My mom's like, no, motherfucker. This asshole just got in my 9-year-old son's face and threatened to kill him. He said he was going to fight him and all this shit and to get off his property. And he's on my property now. And I asked him to leave and he won't. So he was pissed, and the cop walks over and walks Jeff to his house, and literally nothing happened after that. No ticket, nothing.
Of course.
Of course. So fast forward again to my senior year in high school. We got my beagle Dolly. And here's the thing about dogs, especially beagles. They bark.
They howl.
Yes. And when one dog barks, so does
They all.
yes. And everyone on our fucking street had dogs. Like almost every house on our street that had a dog had another dog. Like they had multiple.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeff called animal control on us because our dog barked. And then the cops and animal control came and they were there and Dolly saw them and she started barking. And they're like, you need to get your dog under control. And my mom's like, she's a dog. She's going to bark. And like once my dog started barking, all the other dogs on the street started barking. My mom was like, are you going to go to their houses next?
Right.
And they were like, your dog started it all, blah, blah, blah. My mom was like, no, that's not how it works. Like, what? Whatever.
Mm.
They gave her a ticket and then they left. My mom fought the ticket and she won.
Hey.
She never paid any of these tickets. Like, she never had to pay any of the tickets.
Good.
So Jeff would purposely do shit, like throw stuff in our backyard, like spray my dog with water just to get it to bark so he would call the cops on us.
I do remember that, actually.
He was the biggest fucking dick. We couldn't play in our backyard. We couldn't play, like, if we wanted to play outside, we had to go to a neighbor's house.
Yeah.
Like,
or play in the street.
Yeah. But then if you play in the street, he calls the cops too.
Right. So it was like, okay, thanks.
Yeah. So that, like, do you remember how we were always inside when we were at my house?
Yeah.
And whenever we went to your house, we would always go to the park and we were like, yes,
free sunlight.
Fast forward again. And it is the week of my 21st birthday. We had a gas leak in our house and our house caught fire. The only person that was home was my dad because at the time he was working nights again. Our restaurant was 24 hours. Why are you laughing?
Just because I remember all of this happening and it's like I just remember your dad being so pissed because I came to help you guys with the fire and he told me to leave and I had to leave.
Yeah, my dad doesn't like you.
I know. But anyway, sorry.
So anyway, my dad was at the house. He was home alone. It is on fire, and the neighbors are trying to wake my dad up from his second story bedroom where he ends up having to jump out of a fucking window, and which is on the side of the house where Jeff's house is.
Right.
And Jeff is pissed because people are on his grass trying to save my dad's life. So,
God
he
forbid.
doesn't die. He doesn't, like, burn in flames.
Burn in a house fire.
Yeah. So it's like literally fuck my dad's life. My whole house is on fire, but like
my grass is more important, okay?
So he was even more pissed when the fire department and cops came and they were like all over his grass. I don't know what he did, but we got a ticket for that.
Are you kidding? I do not remember that.
Yeah. My mom got a ticket for that, and she goes to court, and they were like she was in court, and they call her up and they like ask her about it, and they're blah blah. My mom's like, if you look at any of the town newspapers or watch the news or anything, you would see that the date that this happened was the same day that my house was on fire.
Right.
Whatever. So we had to have our house completely redone, like the whole house. It started in the basement, it made its way up to the main floor, and the second floor had like smoke damage, and then they had to like bust in the walls to make sure there was no fire in the walls. It was a whole fucking thing.
Wait, hold on. Didn't your sister have to go and like talk to detectives because they thought she started it?
Okay, so what had happened was we were all leaving. My one brother was getting rims put on his car, and my other brother had his
and we were all shopping for your brother.
because he had his farewell dance in middle school, and you guys were getting him like a suit and stuff. So I think you were with them. It was
I was.
you, my mom, my sister, and my brother all were at a store. My cousin had her farewell dance that night, so I was doing her hair and makeup. And I get a call from my neighbor, and she's like, hey, your mom's not answering her phone. And I'm like, well, she's out shopping. And she's like, okay, well, your house is on fire. And I'm like, what?
Wait, hold on. I remember your mom finally answering a call, and it was you. And you're like, we're literally cashing out at the suit store that we're at. And she like hangs up and, and just goes, our house is on fire. And like none of us said anything. And the lady was like, oh my God, do you have to go? We can hold this stuff for you. Your mom's like, no, I can pay for this now. It's fine. like it was like a normal thing.
Ugh. Well, we also didn't, because my dad had just started like going back. One of our cooks at his restaurant was on vacation or something, and it was the midnight cook. So my dad was working midnights, and it had just happened. Like he had just like 2 days ago. So like we didn't even think about it. And then we're like, oh shit, my dad's like at home asleep.
Right.
So it was a whole fucking thing. Like they had to redo our whole house. It ended up being like cool as fuck.
Hella
I was
nice.
like, oh shit, this is like way nicer than our last one. Like, do you remember our basement? We had like, they finished our basement. We had a kitchen, a dining room, like a big ass living room, a pantry.
It was lit.
Yeah. Oh, I miss that basement.
I know.
That was like the hangout spot.
It was.
Anyways, so while for like 6 months it was getting fixed, but there was a giant dumpster in our driveway for a while. And because they had to like take out all the burnt stuff, all the burnt like wood all the drywall, all the furniture and stuff that we had in our house. Like literally all of our shit that was in
Mm.
our house had to get thrown away.
Yeah.
So it was in our driveway. This motherfucker calls the cops because it was an eyesore. And my mom got a ticket for that and had to go to court.
Get the fuck
Yeah.
out.
In the like 8 years that we lived there, my mom got well over 100 tickets and she had to go to court over 45 times and had like, because they had like paper files, it was
Mm.
a foot and a half thick.
Oh my God.
It was fucking ridiculous. So he moved out a year before we moved. And it was because he got a girlfriend and she had a kid and the kid was at his house a lot.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
one day I was at the neighbors across the street and my brother and his friends were playing in the front yard of my house, and my neighbor and I were just like watching and like talking shit. We were just people watching. And Jeff, his girlfriend, and her son pull up and they start taking groceries inside. And afterwards, Jeff comes out the front door and tells them to get off his grass. They weren't even on his grass, but they were close, but not close enough like to throw a fucking fit. Like you remember how we had the bricks in front of like the lawn bricks? They
Yeah.
were still by those.
Oh my God.
So they had like a good like a foot and a half, 2 feet before they were like on his property. And the moment
Mm.
he came outside and started talking to them, I started making my way across the street because you're not about to yell at my brother. I'm an adult now. And like, I will get in your face. I will throw hands with a fucking grown ass man. Call your cop friend.
Right. Right.
So I'm not even like across the street yet. I'm like midway through my neighbor, like the lady's house that I was at, its front yard. And Jeff's girlfriend opens the door and is like, Jeff, leave those kids alone. They're just playing. And he's like, what? She's like, get in here. And I make my way across the street and she smiles and waves at me. So I smile and wave back, and that pissed him off. And he looked at me like, you fucking bitch. And he just like turned around and stormed in the house. And I'm like, oh shit. And they had a yelling match for hours. But
Mm.
after that, he never called cops on us again. And he moved out like 4 or 5 months later. And
Yes.
it was glorious. And then we moved like a few months after that. But
I actually want to branch off of your story because me and your sister used to piss this guy off on purpose all the time. So, you know how his house was the corner house?
mm-hmm.
So he had those like that little patch like wood fencing on the corner
Yes.
so that people wouldn't walk on his grass and
Yes.
stuff. So whenever we walked to turn that corner, we would either ride our bikes like on his grass, like past the wood
Mm-hmm.
fencing, or we would walk on the grass past the wood fencing. And he would be like in the kitchen, like looking out the window, like just face red, like sweating, like looking at us, like, oh my fucking God, like how could you do that?
Oh.
And we did it every time. And then your sister's room had like one of the windows was directly like facing his
Mm-hmm.
house. Like in the middle of the night, we would just like throw like pop bottles or like food, like random food, just like random items like on his roof and then on his grass. And then we would hear him in the morning like cussing and swearing like, fuck this, like where the fuck did this come from? Because his grass would be like messed up from because we would just like throw pop and shit all over his backyard and his
Mm-hmm.
roof. And then he would be like cleaning off his gutters and he'd be like, what the fuck is on my roof? Are you fucking kidding me? Like it was like the
Oh no,
best.
my friends and I, we would do the same shit because we would go out on the back deck at night. And
Mm-hmm.
because I don't care who you are, 98% of teenagers snuck out of their house and did shit.
Absolutely.
And I we used to make we used to call them bombs. They were not bombs, but we would like put like a bunch of like cleaners and like
See what would
yeah,
happen.
that bleach, Coca-Cola and whatever in a pop bottle, shake it up and then whip it at his grass and watch it explode.
Yeah. We just fucked this guy's grass up just because he was such a
Yeah, no,
bitch.
like he was the worst. Like I snuck out one night and I always had my friend like pull on the side of the like on like the side of his house because it was around the
Yeah.
corner and I can like stealthily get over there. And this
Right.
motherfucker like goes and says something to my mom like your kid is sneaking out of the house and like all this shit. He was such a little bitch.
And I remember me and your sister got in trouble for that too because she didn't know
Oh
who
no,
it
that was from a
was.
different neighbor. That
Oh
was
shit.
the across the street neighbor told my mom.
Fuck.
But like one night, uh oh no, one night. Okay, so you know how we had that back room and we would put the dogs in there?
Yeah.
So him and a friend came into our backyard with flashlights because I can see them from
Oh yeah, because
and
yeah.
they were like trying to fuck with our dogs.
I do
And
remember
it
that.
like the audacity of this man to like come onto our property after he's gonna call the cops on us for stepping on a blade of grass that just happened to grow out of his lawn. Like,
Didn't he like try to like take pictures of the room, by the way, the room was like a jacuzzi room and like they had hay down, like it was a good room for
yeah.
the
Like
dogs.
the
Like
jacuzzi broke and we weren't about to get it fixed, so we just like made it their bed. And
yeah,
like they would hang out there. The floor was heated, all this shit, and
right.
whatever. And he was going back there and like taking pictures and like um he threw fucking fish hooks in there and
Yeah, I
it
do
got
remember that.
one of my
And
remember
yeah.
my baby bear, it got
Mm-hmm.
caught in Bear's lip and like there was
Mm,
nothing we can do because we didn't have proof that he did it.
but like
It was
it
him.
was. We know. Yeah.
It was just it
Ugh,
was the fuck.
I fucking
Yeah, I
hated this
hated that
guy.
whole fucking. I didn't hate the whole town, but like I hated like the one cop that was like
The
his
majority.
friend that just like ruined
Yeah.
all cops because after he would leave our house from telling us to do some shit, he would go next door and like sit there and have a beer with him. And I'm like, aren't you like working? Like, what is
Right.
happening right now? Like, are you trying?
And what's crazy is that at my old house, we had a crazy ass neighbor, and maybe I'll tell that for my next story. But the cop was like definitely always on their side, and like when he was the one in the wrong 99% of the time. So it's like the city that we used to live in had some really lined pockets for their
I
police
mean, there was
officers.
one good cop that I knew of, and it was my friend's dad. But other than that, the rest of them were just fucking ridiculous.
Fucking, yeah.
Like it,
Agreed.
I hated it. But now, like the cops up here
Mm-hmm.
are like even worse because I got, I
Oof.
got pulled over. It was like after, like you know, when you start a new job and like they ask you for like you have to bring in your birth certificate and your ID and stuff. I had my
Yeah.
birth certificate still in my wallet because like a week before to I had just started this job. So if you go north of my house, there's like a boardwalk on the water. And I was coming from that direction, and one of the cops from over there pulled me over, and I'm like, fuck, because they are notoriously horrible. And I
Mm-hmm.
get pulled over, and he asks me for my ID. So I give him my ID, and he asks for my papers, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, your papers. Your last name is like, I need your papers. And I'm like, I can cry on demand. So I started crying and I was like, I don't know what papers you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. He's like, your green card, your blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? So I just,
Bitch, I'm an
yeah, I
American.
was like, here's my American birth certificate. So I give him my birth certificate and like, he like takes it all and just like looks at it and he goes, brings it back and he's like, okay, go on with your day. And I was like, okay, like, fuck you. Oh, and like, I like,
uh,
whatever, cops or whatever. I know it's like controversy or whatever to talk about them, but I know there's like everything, there's good ones and there's bad ones because
yeah. We just have personally, the both of us just have not had the best experience with cops.
but like, yeah, there's good ones and there's bad ones. I just happen this whole tale ended up I had a bad one the whole time who was working with the enemy.
Yeah. Right. Dog. And it's funny because like in my head, I'm like, holy shit, what if it's the same cop that was working with my shitty enemy
It
neighbors?
probably was.
I know, that's
What
what
did
I'm
he look
saying.
like?
It's so crazy. I honestly I don't really remember. I know he was like
Was he younger?
taller.
Like
I
mid
would have like
30s?
yeah, like early to mid
So was
30s for
mine. We're
sure.
gonna have to talk about this like off air and like
Yeah. Wow, this is
we
fun.
will investigate and we will let you know.
I'm right. We'll keep you guys updated.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay, so who's
Oh,
yours?
my ball and Betty like I have two. I have two ball and Betties.
Okay.
The first one is my glorious fucking mother who dealt with this shit
Yes.
for years. Like
Mm-hmm.
went to I don't know how many fucking court summons and dealt with how many tickets and still like didn't go next door and beat this motherfucker's ass. The
Right.
second,
Talk about discipline and self-control.
right? Oh, that shit pissed her off so bad. So like
I
I know
know
like
how badly
yeah,
she wanted to.
how bad she wanted to go over there and just like torch his house. The
Mm-hmm.
second one has to be his girlfriend for dealing with his ass. Like I'm assuming like they ended up like getting
Wow.
married or something because like they were moving in together.
Yeah.
And she finally got him to stop. Like after like do you the years of fucking torment we had, like we literally moved to the middle of nowhere. So we didn't have to
Right.
have neighbors.
Like you guys, we were not able to play outside as elementary and middle schoolers
Yeah,
and high
like if
schoolers.
I was babysitting, like I babysat everyone. I they weren't allowed to go outside and play. I was that babysitter where you did your homework and then we watched TV because I couldn't. Oh,
And played
listen,
Uno.
that's how I became the people's champ. So, who is your ballin' Betty?
So mine, I'm gonna say my one of my best friends for not only helping her grandma, but like trusting her gut when her grandma called her asking for a weirdly high amount of money and then just like picking me up and zooming over
Right,
there because she was like, something's fucking not right
right.
here. So shout out to that because it probably would have kept going if she didn't, you know what I mean? It probably would have went on until she just had nothing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm assuming she had nothing when if she had to like ask her.
Well, I mean, like she probably would have like they probably could have convinced her to like take out a loan or something. You know what I mean? Like who knows what they could have
It's
gotten her to do?
insane.
I know,
Oh, shout out to your friend who I know.
I know. So you do. And remember, in a world full of Karens and scammers, be a fucking Betty.
Hey.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and review. If you want us to read your Karen tales, send them to us. Our email is in our bio, or DM them to us. Lauren, give them those links.
So our Instagram is at excuse me Karen. Check it out, show us some love, send us the DMs, and thank you all for listening.
Bye.
Bye.